Hi, I'm Chuck Elliott, President of the Patriot Foundation. We exist to support the families of soldiers killed, wounded, and injured since 9/11 and the global war on terrorism. This video provides commentary from military leaders on the scale of our mission. Our elite troops have borne the brunt of combat since 9/11, and they deserve our best efforts to help their families recover from the tragedies of war. Your generosity is what enables the Patriot Foundation to provide educational scholarships to their children.
I want to first of all thank you all for everything you do for the troops. I know you have a lot of choices on where you can put your money, and in all cases it supports the military. And I'd like to talk a moment about why I think what the Patriot Foundation does is so important. First of all, whenever a crisis or a disaster strikes a family in the military, it's shattering.
Traumatic brain injuries abound. Horrendous blasts have maimed a goodly number of American soldiers, sailors, and airmen and Marines. The spouses of these badly wounded warriors will find themselves in a significant dilemma. They will become the primary caregivers to these incapacitated fine warriors. They will be primary parent to their children, and in some cases, they will have to be breadwinners.
One of the things that we cannot rely on is the government to provide for all the needs of our families and the children left behind. There's no way that they can adequately provide for, say, the educational requirements of the children of those who have been killed in action. That's where the Patriot Foundation and your generous contributions prove invaluable.
What I find so important about the Patriot Foundation is that it focuses on the things about our culture that made me want to defend this nation in the first place. Love and compassion, support, charity, all these elements that should exist in a healthy family life. They're the things that this foundation reinstates for families like mine that find themselves broken from tragedies in the defense of this nation.
Our goal as a charity is to take every dollar that we receive and very simplistically become a fusion center to dispense that money to the soldiers and families wherever it may be required. And because Fort Bragg truly is the headquarters for the joint forces across the United States, Fort Bragg really dictates the need for our charity.
The 10th Mountain Division at Fort Drum was one of the earliest conventional force formations to go into Afghanistan. The 3rd Infantry Division led the main effort into Iraq in March of 2003. Fort Campbell was another early entry conventional force into Afghanistan. The major headquarters, located at Fort Bragg, North Carolina, arguably have training and readiness oversight, command responsibilities over more than half the Army.
The other thing about Fort Bragg is it is the tip of the spear for our reaction forces worldwide. That's where the Combat Response Force is. The 82nd Airborne is, and the units that are part of that are always ready to go at a moment's notice, and they're the ones that will often go first.
In my 2 times in Afghanistan, when I'd go around and meet these hard-bitten so-called warlords and talk to them to establish a relationship, I'd ask them a question. If you were king for a day and you could have one thing, what would you want most in life? To a person, those Afghans of whom I would ask this question would respond generally in the same way. And that response would be, I would educate the children. It's our only hope for stopping this cycle of violence. I believe that anecdote fits what we're trying to do in the Patriot Foundation to a T.
The children of our wounded and injured need to know that they're a part of the mortar that this country is built on. And they need to know that we recognize them for their service and their sacrifice. And I don't think there's a better way to do that than to send them to college and make them the leaders of tomorrow.
As you talk to those that have benefited from our program, you'll find that their confidence level, their ability to know that their future holds something that's positive is really what we're all about.
I think it's also important to point out that the Patriot Foundation is managed by all volunteers. Probably 95+% of your good donations are going to go to those military families. The Patriot Foundation very proudly ensures that all the monies it receives is maximized to the needs of the families of those soldiers who are killed and wounded in action.
And I don't mind telling you, I'm very particular about to whom I lend my name or my energies. I'm especially cognizant of those charities that do their good works primarily with volunteers and small administrative costs. And I can say to you unequivocally, Patriot Foundation falls in that category. The expression, and perhaps it is cliche and worn out, more bang for the buck, rings true.
Even in the most difficult of times, like those that we've described earlier, oftentimes the only way that families like this are able to move ahead is because of what we do for them and what you help provide.
I think one of the best measures of the commitment that the Patriot Foundation has to our country is that they don't stop with the Gold Star families. They're not just measuring the loss of people who died serving this country. Far greater is the number of people who have been wounded and injured and their families here at home. And the Patriot Foundation is right on point with that too.
The human costs of our longest war have been severe. A study in 2015 estimated that there had been at least 260,000 cases of traumatic brain injury and 540,000 cases of post-traumatic stress disorder and depression since 9/11. Added to these numbers are the thousands of service deaths and tens of thousands of other wounds and injuries such as gunshot wounds, burns, traumatic amputations, loss of eyesight, and orthopedic injuries. It is up to you, me, and all of us to help the shattered families of our servicemen and women who have sacrificed everything to keep us free and safe. Please help by becoming a partner with us to make a difference for the children of our nation's heroes.